Thanks very much. When I was asked to do this presentation, I really didn't know where to start, because normally I have an audience of engineers, so I'm going to maybe explain some of the technology that we have developed in Donegal over the last 10 years. But first of all, I met Joe for the first time before I came in here, and he was telling me that all the economists had a good argument in the previous session. You know, that just goes to prove the first law of economics. For every economist, there is an equal and opposite economist. So anyway, I'm an engineer. I'll talk a little bit about myself just as I go along. I think Ingrid said I'm from Derry. You have no by the accent, of course. I haven't lost that. But I worked. My first job was I was an engineer with the ESB, a summer job, which is very good training. And one of the themes I'm going to bring out is that very, very few people start off a business, you know, day one, straight from college. They usually have had to work in a series of large firms. So I want to emphasise that. I know everybody thinks of Steve Jobs and, you know, Steve Wozniak and stuff like that, but that is very much the exception rather than the rule. Our company came to Donegal in 2003, having been in Derry for about 15 years before that. We basically began in Donegal with about 50 people, and now the numbers have actually gone up since I sent that summary to Ingrid. We have about 450 people now in Burnfoot, just across the Garda station. If you've ever been arrested there, you know that's where it is. We have 220 in Dubai as well. People ask me, why is it not 670 in Ireland, and you know, instead of 450 in Ireland? Like, one of our products is a buzz bar system, which is for high-rise buildings, and they want us to be close to the market. And obviously, the Middle East at the minute, you know, with Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and maybe not as well known, Saudi Arabia is going through a real boom in high-rise buildings at the minute. So our product's doing very well out there. Basically, the factory in Burnfoot is the headquarters. We do all the research and development, which I'm going to come back to, which is very important for our growth. But the factory in Dubai is basically a manufacturing place just for the Middle East. So all the product for mainland Europe and Russia would come from Ireland. The product for the Middle East, which is Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and maybe moving into Pakistan, India, Singapore, that would come from the Middle East. But the R&D, all the intellectual property, is based in Ireland, and that's where the smart people really are, quite frankly. That's what one of these pieces of switchgear looks like. That's a 33 kV switchboard. It's for a data centre in London, actually. There's another one. They look pretty much the same, but that one is a double-ended transformer package substation for a large American bank. I'm going to have to change that photograph. That guy should not be up on top of that piece of live switchgear. But anyway, that piece of buzz bar coming out of that piece of switchgear is Power Bar, which is one of our products that we developed from 2003 onwards when we relocated the business to Donegal. The buzz bar system is an alternative to electrical cables. When you're using large currents at high voltages, you go for buzz bar systems, which are basically solid conductors rather than wires. It's a very popular application for large movements of power. So that product is also made in the Middle East because, as I said, it's used extensively in high-rise buildings. So if you look at those types of product, I wouldn't be, you know, I wouldn't say that they're very high technology. They're probably medium technology. We have got 3 patents. We're working on about 2 more, but all that intellectual property has been designed by people either from Derry or Donegal, because 99% of our workforce is from Derry or Donegal, of the 450 people there, and all the intellectual property is owned by the directors of the company, again, which is from Derry or Donegal. We don't have any outside investors. We don't have any venture capitalists. We don't have any, you know, companies that own shares in the company. It's totally Irish owned. So that's the 2 products, those 2 pieces of switchgear that you saw in the previous slides, and that buzz bar system. One of our biggest competitors is Siemens of Germany, and we have started to win business against them in Germany, and apparently they've nicknamed our product Patty Bar. So we're quite happy about that, actually. So there's a summary again of the markets, UK, mainland Europe, and from Ireland, and those other markets primarily from the Middle East. I would say our total business this year is going to be about 95 million euros, or might make 100. It depends whether some jobs happen before the end of the year or maybe just in the next year, but it's going to be somewhere between 95 million euros and 100 million euros. Just some typical projects that I just happen to have on the slide there. I think the ones on the right-hand side probably mean a bit more to everybody here. One of our largest projects at the minute is with Google in Finland and Google in Belgium. And we also have a very large project with Facebook in Sweden. So we're targeting large projects, especially with blue-chip multinationals, because they're the companies that do business all the time. They do business internationally, and that's the sort of work we want. This year we will probably do 99.5% of our sales outside of Ireland, north or south, so we don't really do anything within Ireland. That's probably because Ireland, the sort of projects that we do here, there will be very few of them in Ireland, and it wouldn't be cost effective for us to have a sales effort within Ireland. We get jobs by default within Ireland, but quite frankly we just go for exports all the time, and it seems to be paying results. I just wanted to talk about research and development because it is one of the themes. Innovation is mentioned as one of the important keywords in today's session. Before we began doing research and development in 2004, our sales were probably about 11 million euros. Since we started doing research and development, you can see now they're 95 million euros. So practically all the growth has come from 4 major R&D projects. Those R&D projects were basically designing busbar systems or more efficient, bit higher quality switchgear systems, and we designed those within our own resources. We hired in any technology that we didn't have, any special particular skills. Our people would be mainly electrical. We needed skills in mechanical processing, coating technology for insulating some of the electrical conductors. So we hired in what we didn't know. We did some liaison with universities. Quite frankly, the universities generally are too slow. We want an answer in 3 weeks. We don't want an answer in a year, and we don't want to tie it into somebody who's doing a PhD. We don't have the luxury to wait for research and development. So largely, we use them for short projects, but they have to be very fast and get responses, and maybe they're not geared up for it. It's a bit unreal to ask them, but I'm just telling you the way it is with us. Apart from the major shifts, which lift the turnover, quite quickly, we have ongoing minor improvements and ongoing developments. And what that really means is we're always trying to make the product more competitive commercially. We're always trying to continuing to develop some of the features. One of the big features probably happened after 9/11. One of the big problems with 9/11 is before those buildings came down, all the electrical systems failed because all the cables failed. Our busbar trunking systems can last 3 hours in a fire. So that, for example, would allow the lifts in a high-rise building to keep going unless the lift shaft was destroyed itself. But that type of time can get people out of burning buildings. Never mind will have been attacked by airplanes, but in general, a large fire in a high-rise building can be catastrophic if the electrical systems fail. So we have spent a lot of time and money designing equipment that lasts 3 hours in the event of a catastrophic fire. That third point down there, sales and R&D need to be aligned closely. I'm making the point there, too many people spend money on R&D that isn't aligned to what the salespeople are saying. So my main role within the company, my 2 main roles would be sales and research and development, because if I speak to customers, I find out what they really want, find out what, so people design products and then they find after 2 years of spending maybe a couple of million euros, that's not exactly what people want at all. So we spend maybe 6 months or a year finding out exactly what specification people want, how much of it they'll buy, what they'll pay for it. And then we do our own internal business plan before we talk to anybody else, before we decide on an R&D program. So sales and R&D, they have to absolutely match. A hindrance we have, maybe because we're in Inishowen, but maybe because we're in Ireland as well, we have a shortage of engineering. We could probably double our turnover if we could get more graduate electrical and mechanical engineers. They're just not enough in Ireland, and I have only 15 minutes before the bouncers pull me off the stage, but kids aren't picking the right subjects, and I think it's wrong sometimes to say we need to all study STEM subjects, because it almost casts aspersions on the quality of our degrees. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is there is jobs in engineering for students, and you have to think about pushing towards that. And I know maths and physics are a bit difficult, but look, there are jobs in it, and we're an example. I would take 10 graduates tomorrow in electrical engineering if I could get them. There's also a shortage of people in sales and marketing. Irish people are very good at sales and marketing because we can talk to anybody anywhere in the world. We're very popular. We get on with people, But I think people doing marketing sometimes go into things like confectionery and clothes. We don't get enough people in marketing get into industry, which I think is important. There's a shortage of accountants with business experience. We're coming down with auditors and people who can do reports and business plans and help the government sort out the economy, but there's not enough accountants going into manufacturing businesses. So that type of management accountant who can do monthly management accounts, you know where you are every month, who can look at where you're losing money, where you can improve your margins of products. There's a shortage of those people. Acquisitions, people say to us, why have you not bought any companies? Well, we could, but what's in it for me to buy a company in the States just to maybe increase our sales? Unless they had a technology that we don't have, or don't have the time or the expertise to develop, that technology that I could take back to Donegal and to the Middle East and replicate, I would be interested. But I wouldn't just do an acquisition just to increase our sales by 20 or 30 million euros. It would have to be that plus some technology that we haven't got. So I am looking, but it's not my number one priority at the minute, I have to say. Lean manufacturing. Some of you that are in the industry, it's a term really, it basically means making our business more efficient. Like a very simple thing that we have done is we use a lot of copper conductors, which is very heavy, very time consuming to move about. Like our factory is about 130,000 square feet, and we actually watched, we tasked a guy for 3 weeks just watching material flow throughout the factory in a normal production run. And it was getting moved 10 or 15 times, and we looked at the cost of doing that and what it actually took out of our margin, and we reckon it could be anywhere between 1 and 2% margin. Now, in a business doing 95 million euros, that's a lot of money. So basically, our lean manufacturing program, which we've been on now for a year, has really improved our bottom line. So our profits are a lot better. But it's nothing to do with. You might think it's reducing wages. It's nothing to do with that at all. It's just making us more effective. And one measurement that I have, we have a competitor in Turkey for our buzz bar system. Our sales of buzz bar are about the same as theirs, but they employ 4 times as many people as us. So, on a very rough assumption, we're 4 times as productive man for man, as they are in Turkey. So that's a lot about organisation, good management, hard work from our staff, but it's basically a lot about being smart about the way we organise the factory as well. So what have I learned? Sales and R&D have to be totally aligned. You can't have the sales guys saying, I don't want that product that those guys are making, or the R&D guys saying, well, you're going to, that's what we're designing. And, they have to be absolutely unanimous on what they want. Lean manufacturing, increased productivity. So while the R&D programs lifted the sales, which was great for the bottom line, the lean manufacturing improves the gross margin, which again helps the bottom line. So even though this last 4 or 5 years, apparently have been disastrous, they've been very good for us, because a recession like that shakes out a lot of maybe companies that aren't performing and maybe aren't all that strong financially. We don't take any money out of the business. We don't take dividends. I haven't bought any racehorses or helicopters. I can guarantee you that, in case Enterprise Ireland are in the room. But one of the things that I think that some of the guys are going to talk about, R&D funding. If I go into a bank and say, can you loan me 3 million euros to do some R&D? The first problem the bank have, and I can understand that, the only security they would have in that would be the company itself has security, because they can't, they can repossess a building, they can repossess a machine if somebody would default on the payments, but R&D is basically ideas, concepts, drawings, designs, so it's nothing that a bank can actually take off someone and sell. So it's very difficult to fund R&D other than within your own resources. So one of the challenges that startups in particular have is getting money for R&D. They usually have to go for venture capitalists, and then they start giving away their own share capital and their own equity in the business. And maybe a lot of people starting off a business, the main reason why they do it, nothing to do with money. It's they want to be their own boss. Like if you ask me what was the main reason why I left DuPont all those years ago, and they were a great company, I got great training in it, and they treated everybody very well, but I wanted to be my own boss. And if you want to do R&D as a startup, you're going to have to give a lot of your own equity away, which people don't want to do. So that's a challenge. Export markets, too many times I've sat listening to people saying, yeah, we're going to go to Spain, France, Germany, Italy, Sweden and Portugal. We're going to do that in the next couple of months. That's absolutely impossible to do properly. So time and time when I'm speaking to small companies in particular, just take it one country at a time. Try and get a good distributor for your product. Try and find out exactly what they need. And don't try and overstretch it, because what happens is if you mess up the first few orders, because say for example, if you can't supply an order because of lack of capacity, or else maybe lack of working capital to buy on the raw material or to pay the wages, you've basically lost all your credibility, and you can't really go back to that for 5 years. So just do it one step at a time, maybe 2 countries at a time. It also depends on the size of your management team, and don't be sending junior staff away to the middle of nowhere trying to bring in business. You have to, if you're serious about it, don't do it, or else do it right by sending some senior management. I've made that mistake in the past. I sent a guy to Dubai, and I think he partied for 6 months and didn't get any business. So I had to go out myself for a couple of years.
Philip, you're just, if you can.
Okay, I'm going to wrap this up now for the bouncers coming. Building a management team has been very important, and upskilling a workforce is absolutely vital. Probably some of the important points here. Ireland needs to focus on medium to high technology. Forget about low technology shirt manufacturing. Don't even go there. A lot of these things Ireland is already doing, but I just want to emphasise it. The SME sector has been very successful in Germany. Family-owned companies with good relationship with local banks has done well. The government need to make that a clear policy rather than just make a speech once a year about it. Enterprise Ireland are doing well, but there's about 4 or 5 sectors. I've mentioned a couple: food, engineering, IT. I should mention medical devices and pharma as well. I didn't specifically mention IDA because that's not my field, but they're doing very well. Bringing in multinationals, and even when multinationals go, or even if they stay, they leave a lot of potential entrepreneurs. I came from DuPont. I don't think I would be running this business the way I do if I hadn't worked for a multinational. American multinationals in particular look after their staff, and they're generally started by entrepreneurs themselves. We need to sort out the education system. I've alluded to that earlier. I'm going to throw in a few ones now, maybe a bit controversial. Is FOSS fit for purpose? I don't think so. A lot of it looks very dated to me. Doesn't seem to be what the modern businesses want. Are we getting value for money? I think we're spending 600 or 700 million a year on it. Could be better spent. And the final controversial one: are we getting value for money from the universities? I know the next talks are about universities. They don't seem to create jobs, enough start-up companies for the money that's injected to them. So, just to summarise, Ireland has to become a competitive export-focused economy, comprising SME and foreign direct investment companies with highly skilled employees led by world-class management teams. Thank you very much.